Why hello everybody, Spencer here, also known as Lego Dude 11, and in today's video, this is my Rick and Morty Season 7 spoiler review, so without further ado, let's discuss. Alright, so guys, today, as I mentioned, is Season 7 that just concluded for Rick and Morty. And I have on this new shirt I got from my friend as a Christmas present for Christmas. It's kind of redundant there, Christmas present for Christmas. But anyway, I digress. It says Peace Among Worlds, and it has Rick and Morty doing the bird to you. It's just such a funny shirt, and I had to wear it. I had a different Rick and Morty shirt that I wore for last time for Season 6 and probably Season 5. I can't remember what I did. Maybe it wasn't maybe it was. But for the last review, I had a different shirt, and last couple reviews. This one, I had this new shirt. My friends were generous. My one friend was generous to give me this shirt because she knew I liked Rick and Morty, so I was like, thank you so much. And today, let's kick things off. So this season is a very different season. This is still my favorite show. This and Doctor Who are my favorite shows, sci-fi shows. I love Big Bang Theory and The Office, but for sitcoms. But these are my two favorite shows. And this season is different. The Justin Roiland is out, and they got new actors. They got new voice actors. I'm going to discuss the voices in a little bit, but the score by Ryan Elder is the same as always. I love him. I don't know, he's not my favorite. I love Murray Gold in Doctor Who, but Ryan Elder for Rick and Morty is really good. I love the score. I love the theme. The new intro that they made is great. They always change the intro, not the theme song, but the intro credits, the sequences, it's great. And the songs in here, there's like Live Forever in episode 4. Some of the certain song, the finale song is really great as well. I just love the songs that they incorporate that Ryan Elder does. Like, it's not songs like, I mean, there is a, For the Damage Coda is used in the other seasons, but in this season and other seasons as well, they just make up their own songs, and they sound generally catchy and memorable. So I love them in this season. But, excuse me, going along right into that, we have the new voices. And guys, I gotta tell you that this season, before I get to my rating at the end, I'm not gonna give you my rating right now, but the voices don't make this season bad. At all. Like, I can't tell you enough how much this season was not bad. And it frustrates me why people are saying, oh, well, this season's bad because of the voices. Oh, this season's bad because of the writing. No, it's not. People just go out of their way to watch a show, to watch a show in general. Like, people don't like change. And people just go into this rabbit hole of, oh, well, they got these new voices. Oh, well, it's not the same as what it once was, so it's bad. No, you just don't like the adaptation, the continuation of what they're doing. And I know people are mad about voices. People are mad about Marvel, but it's just, you know, there's random things going on with Marvel. But Rick and Morty never had a growth. It's just evolving. So you can't be mad about evolving and what's going on. And the voices are fine. They picked people who felt worked best. There's this great guy on TikTok and YouTube who I've listened to that sounds exactly identical to Justin Roiland. But they weren't going to pick him. They could have picked him, but he was living his own life, you know. And now, I mean, they picked the people that they want. The thousands of people that came and auditioned to replace Justin Roiland, and they picked these two guys. They picked Ian McCaldy, Ian Cardoni, and Harry Belden. Great job, you guys. They did a great job playing the parts. People were saying that Morty complained a lot and whined a lot, but that's his voice. It sounded perfectly fine. Rick sounded a lot better. I think in the trailer they sounded a little bit off, but there were a couple of times they sounded off in the seasons, but I didn't mind it. It just sounded, it just fit the vibe for me. So I thought the voices matched a lot. So real quick, as I'm sitting here, I'm gonna go into the episodes. And speaking of the voices and what I thought about the overall season, is I'm going to ask the question, did the episodes work? And I really felt like I'm going to pull it up here real quickly. So season 7 had some hit and miss episodes for some people. Now, to me, what the episodes did was they really experimented with. This show always experiments in the beyond and the bizarre, and I love that. Right? This is my favorite show with the concept. So there's some. There's a couple episodes where I go, really, was that worth it? But I think at the end of the day, yes. Okay, so the question, the episode plots, did they work, and my ranking. So I'm going to give you my ranking. Maybe I should do it at the end of the review. So I'm going to do that at the end. But the episodes, did they work? I'm going to go through and talk about each of them as a whole. So, not in depth, but just about and what I thought. So, episode 1, the friend group getting together, basically Rick, Gearhead, Squanchy, Mr. Poopy Butthole, Bird Person, and Gene all get together, go on a bar crawl, and help Mr. Poopy Butthole on his depression from last season when he has lost his wife, lost his son, couldn't work out at the gym, got broken, failed that. Lost his house, all this stuff. So basically, he's living with the Smiths, and I think it's a really neat episode, continuing off from the cold open, or from finishing off from the epilogue from last season. And it's a great way to start this, having a friend episode. Hugh Jackman as guest voices. There's a predator fight and all this fun stuff. Right? It's a very fun opening. It has a 63%, but I think it's a lot of fun. Season premiere, very fun stuff. Great. I think it's a win. Then we have 3 episodes, all in the 80s. Next one is at 82%, which is the Jarek Trap, which Jerry and Rick merge body. They do a brain swap, and it's the funniest thing. It's the funniest cold open. I laugh my butt off at it. And then they get a brain swap. They become their names are Burger and Fries, and then they take down this crime boss. And then they merge their bodies together and become Jericky. Now, in my eyes, it's not a Cronenberg, but it looks kind of like a Cronenberg, like a human centipede type deal. And I think it looks a lot better than the Cronenberg from SpongeBob, if you remember that. It kind of, the Jericky design kind of looks creepy, but in my eyes, it looks a lot better than that. And there's actual Cronenbergs in Rick and Morty that look a lot better than the SpongeBob Cronenberg. It looks disgusting in that show. I can't stand it. But this episode was kind of bizarre, and yet like what is Jericky? I don't know, but it was funny to watch. So I like that a lot. Air Force Wong was a treat because they brought back a character from season 2. They brought back Unity, and I love that. In an episode with the president and Dr. Wong, splendid episode. Splendid episode. Very disgusting when they threw up a bunch, but a splendid episode. I loved it nonetheless. And That's a Morty was a kind of a dark, very Rick and Morty's darkest episode. Me and my 2 friends were watching it at my dorm when they were here from Dayton, and they're like, "This is outrageous," and I'm like, "I understand, but it's funny." And some people don't think it's funny, but I thought it was funny. I think the show's funny. I think they took it on a funny level because they try to make suicide is not funny. But what they did with the food and made it funny, and then made it like capitalism, it was funny. And then the resolvement was even funnier with the whole death, with the whole guy reflecting on his life. Very funny. That's the song where Live Forever plays, and I thought it was hilarious. Episode 5 was the canonical episode, which I loved. Going into the canon aspect of this episode, or of this review, this was my favorite episode of this season. This is this episode is like the highest rated episode of Rick and Morty. It's at 94%. For everyone out there saying Rick and Morty's dead, Rick and Morty sucks, this season's awful, this episode's at 94. And it deals with Evil Morty, Rick Prime, Diane, everything, canonical episode. Rick and Morty, it has the backstory. Oh my god. It has Rick and Morty flashing back all the way. It has Evil Morty's backstory about how he came to be, creating the eye patch, creating Evil Rick, and then when Evil Rick's defeated by Rick and Morty, and then the whole timeline until we get to the golden portal, and I just was in love with this episode. I'm watching it on repeat all the time, and it's so good. And then Rick Prime comes into play, and then our Rick C-137 defeats Rick Prime by punching him a bunch of times at the end of the episode after they have this big, humongous fight, like battle of the Ricks, like duel of the fates, duel of the Ricks, and it's so good. I love it so much. It's my favorite episode of Rick and Morty. It's like an actual effing movie. So good, and then we just have this great fight between two Mortys, two Ricks. Slow Mobius dies, unfortunately. That's the sad thing is, and then we get a result. We have the look on down from the bridge play after he's done beating him up. Like, that was the best moment. The best. After, remember when Morty's like looking distraught when they die, when the first look down from the bridge plays, and then like after Rick defeats himself, he's like, that same song plays. Like when they bury themselves for the first time, Morty's like that, and that song plays. But this is like a circle. It loops back around, and Rick, they play that same song for Rick. I thought it was a gorgeous moment. I thought at that time, I'm like, for the people that saying Rick and Morty is not dead, the writing in this show is brilliant. And then we get an episode that's in the 70s, 74, I believe it is. 72. Rick fending your Mort, which this is a clever episode coming right after a very brutal one, and it's a very jokey episode. It's like the Morty's Mind Blowers one where they play a bunch of clips for you, kind of like interdimensional cable, and Never Ricking Morty, and the one from last season, which was the meta episode, full meta Jack Rick, and this one is they have these rocks that show different clips from things that you never saw, kind of like the Morty's Mind Blowers. So it's a very great episode. I loved it. There's Leg Rick, and then they do this part where they're in court, and they're like, remember this time when Rick and Morty did this with giants in the courtroom? And I was like, yeah, that's hilarious. They do a lot of great gags, nods from Season 2. Like there's a boat when Morty turns into a boat from the time in Season 2 when he turns into a car. Great moments like that. I love this episode a lot. And then we have another episode in the 80s, which I'm surprised that it stuck there. But, hey, it had Rick and Morty in it, and this was the one called Wet Hot American Summer, like Wet Hot American Summer. And the whole deal is that there's a Taken plot line, but there's also the whole plot line is Total Recall with Open Your Mind with Morty as a Quado. And I think this is a very funny episode because reflecting back to the Unmarked Rickon episode, which was episode 5 with the canonical episode, when Rick's fighting Rick Prime has a Quado. So it's kind of funny that they bring that idea back. And Summer has a Quado. It's very funny. Morty keeps saying the line, "Open your mind," and then all these other Quados are in the episode, and they're like, "Open your mind." And then there's this fight with the bad guy Quado, and he's like, "Open your mind." Or the bad guy Quado can actually talk, whereas Morty just says, "Open your mind" a bunch. But it's very funny. I think it's funny. It has an 84%. Let me double check that one. Has an 84%. I'm very surprised. My friend has not watched. The friend that I watch Rick and Morty with has not seen it yet. So I may or may not get back to you on that one. But I can't wait to see. I won't get back to you. I can't wait to see what he says about it because I'm just curious. He had a lot of thoughts on the Suicide Spaghetti episode, but this episode was kind of funnier. And it had Rick in the end battle, like when he's trying to find Summer. So it's interesting. So I like this a bunch. But then we get into the next episode, episode 8, which is Rise of the Numericons, the movie. I was so pumped for this episode. I love this episode a bunch for a reason. It doesn't have. This is the first ever episode in the entirety of Rick and Morty to not have Rick. And I see where people criticize the episode, but I didn't mind it. Never mind. I was going to make a joke. I didn't mind it. So basically, Morty's in here, and this episode had a 70%, and then it dropped down to a 43. It's kind of sad, but this is a sequel to the cold open, or to the end epilogue of the end credit scene of Get Swifty's episode in season 2, and where Ice-T becomes Water Tea, and then he's fighting the Numericons, and you see that. And this episode's just fun. It's entertaining. And now people, I know, I haven't seen the reviews on it. Well, actually, I have, But people are like, oh, Rick's not in here. It's terrible. What makes it terrible? Morty's here. There's entertainment to be had. I love the jokes. The number and the letter jokes are hilarious. There's like hit the hyperdrive instead of hyperdrive, or she needs a caps lock, and I need to decipher the what is it? The hyphen? No, not the I can't remember. But there's a lot of number and letter jokes in this episode, and I loved it a lot. Like infinity. Then there's like oxygen S becomes, or hydrogen S becomes 8, and then 8 becomes infinity as the bad guy. I just thought it was hilarious to watch. But there is a point in the beginning of the episode where Mr. Goldenfold goes, or where Water T goes, I need to find a math expert. You think it's going to be Rick, but then it's Mr. Goldenfold, the teacher, the math teacher at Rick and Morty's school, or at Morty's school. So I don't mind the character. If it was a totally out of the blue character, I would have been more like, what is this? But since it was a character I knew since people have known since season 1, and since I like the character, so I didn't mind it. If it was somebody totally random, just like a random teacher that we'd never seen before, I would have been like, what is this? But I didn't mind. So I liked that episode. Had a lot of fun with that one. I had a lot of fun with the number guns. And since it was something like a concept we'd seen before from Water T and the ending of that, if it was just a bizarre concept, I would have been like, this isn't fun. But I liked the concept. I was excited to see more of it. So we had Unity, we had this, we had other things, callbacks from other seasons. So I've been really enjoying this season. Really like that episode. Then we have the penultimate episode that's also in the 80s, coming back from 43 back up into now it's at 70%. Oh, did I know that? I don't know. But anyway, it's not bad. It's really good. I rank it my third favorite of the season. This is Mort Ragnarok, and a clever episode name. And this one's all about the Rick getting into Valhalla. And this episode was also fun because the way he gets into Valhalla is going to Norway and having Bigfoot from a Pokeball attacking him and killing him to get into a Valhalla in this like room. Like there's like runes on a room, walls on the room. So back in episode 3, when the president is gathering this team to go take down the hive mind before they know what the hive mind is, there's this picture that the alien draws for Rick saying, wait, danger! And showing that Rick will get defeated by Bigfoot, which is hilarious. And then episode 9, they didn't have that in the trailer, and then episode 9 was this episode, and I loved it a lot. Seeing Rick and Morty like dress up like Vikings and get all this tech, it's awesome. And it looked like the God of War trailer that Rick and Morty were in. Oh, it was splendid. I was like, mwah, gorgeous episode. And then there's like this B plot. This is kind of like the first episode in the season where there's like an A plot and B plot where Bigfoot goes off to gets captured by the Pope and starts working for the Pope. And then there's like this time loop where, not time loop, but like the Pope keeps killing Rick and Morty and Bigfoot, and they have to keep figuring out how to get back and try to kill the Pope different ways. It's really hilarious, and I loved it a lot. And Bigfoot gets his own like human body from Rick's clone vat. Bigfoot turns into Summer first as a clone, and then Rick transfers him into a different body. And then at the end of the episode, the Pope's defeated by a Pokeball. All these creatures from the monster movies come in, like Dracula, the Mummy, Frankenstein, the creature, like not Loch Ness Monster, but the swamp creature, and werewolf, and they all come in and like try to take down Bigfoot, or try to take down the Pope, and then they're in Valhalla and then help take down the Vikings, and then Bigfoot, Rick and Morty come in, and Rick throws a Pokeball at the Pope. So that's how he's defeated, and then the Bigfoot's just standing there at the woods, and I don't know why I'm waving my hands around. Just standing there at the woods, so they're like, why are we at the woods? And then Rick and Morty are like, go be free. It's funny epilogue there. And then the end credit scene was funny because they're like, Rick was gonna have the Pope fight with another Pokemon, and then the police show up, like, who's the Pope? And then it was the one Rick clone became the Pope. That was a really funny ending. But the final episode that just ended last night, as the prior night of me recording this video, was Fear No Mort. And this episode, guys, I have to tell you, I don't know, it just came out, so I don't know the rating on this episode yet. I'm hoping it's in the 80s. I'm hoping it's at least in the 80s, because I thought this was a great episode. I'm assuming it's going to be up in the 80s, because I like this episode a lot. It wasn't as canonical as episode 5, but this is where I stand on this episode. So I'm going to give you my thoughts right now. Like I said, this is a different type of season, because it feels like everything's all over the place, but it seems like it's just a fun season. I didn't mind it. And this episode, like I said, there was the canon episode. I love the canon. But this episode, what it did for me was it really showed the future of Rick and Morty, which I'm going to get into, because I feel like that there's this hole in Denny's. There's this guy that's like, do you want to see some scares? I'll show you some real scares. And there's this hole in the bathroom at Denny's. And Morty jumps in, and you think Rick's there too, but in hindsight, and then you see Diane get thrown into the mix, and Diane's there. Rick's in love with Diane. He gets a little love connection because she wants to be with him throughout the episode, but Morty then realizes, like, how do I face my fear? How do I get out of this? Like, several times they keep trying to get out. And this whole, at one time, he's living his life. He grows up, and Summer gets married, and then he becomes his dad. And he's like, I'm not out of the hole yet. I have to face my fear. He keeps dying. They're slowly dying. Rick and Morty are slowly dying, and they keep trying to get out of the hole. And Morty realizes, like Rick says, I'll accept you, like irreplaceable. And Morty's like, really? Like that? You would never say that. So, Rick never jumped in the hole, so it was only Morty. And then Rick's calling Morty to get out, and Morty accepted his fear. It's a really interesting episode. I really loved it a lot. It wasn't canonical, but it really set up like how Rick and Morty can grow as characters, and what the story and what the future and everything of Diane is. It really asks you, not asks you, but it really makes you think about Diane and more of the connection between Rick and Diane and how he's feeling. And even if Rick not being there, it really tells you, like at the end, like, okay, what does Rick really think about Diane? Because he's not really there. But it's just interesting. I love this episode because it didn't really set up much, but it can ask you questions for the future. It really gets you thinking. It's a thinking episode, which I really, really loved. So at the end of the day, how I felt this with this season, I wouldn't say it's my favorite season, but it's a season worth including. Like, at the end of the day, let me go back to season 6 real quick. Oh, and that's something I want to mention before I finish this review. I have something to say. So let me go back real quickly. Boom, 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 boom. So season 6 had, I feel like, had some hit and miss episodes as well. So at the end of the day, I feel like it's just season 7 is just a continuation of a great show. In my opinion, my favorite show. So it's not a bad season. It's just a regular season of Rick and Morty season, episodes you like, episodes you dislike, but all of them are entertaining in and of themselves. If I can speak correctly, that's something I would love to do. So anyway, going back to season 7, yeah, I really love the future. Really love the future. I'm really excited to see the future of Rick and Morty. I think what they're trying to do is, like I said, they had Diane in this last episode, but they talked about like things about Rick and Diane. But what I'm interested to see is if in the future Rick tries to get Diane back, because in episode 9 they go to heaven, they get into Valhalla, and I thought maybe Rick was going to try to find Diane and Beth. Maybe he's still trying to be happy, or he tries to find a new version of Diane. Maybe that's what the next 3 seasons are about. Maybe Rick's trying to find Diane, a way to be happy. Maybe Evil Morty comes back because he's still out there, and maybe if they ever make a Rick and Morty movie, maybe they build up to the Cthulhu monster in the intro. Maybe that's another threat. Maybe there's an even bigger threat than Rick Prime. Maybe there's Evil Jerry or Evil Summer or Doofus Jerry. Who knows what's out there? But that's something I'm really interested in the future. But before I get to my rating, I do want to do a couple of things. I want to rank the episodes for you. So Episode 5 of season 7, episode 5 is up top, then episode 10, then episode 9, then episode 4, then episode 3, or I think it was episode 3, then episode 4, then episode 6, then episode 7, then 2, then 1. That's what I would rank it. Unless it was, because I really like that there's Rick and Jerry episode. I always love the Rick and Jerry episodes, but I think that's what I would do. Maybe Jerry Trap, maybe Jarek Trap over the Wet Hot American Summer. I don't know, because Jerry and Beth weren't in. Oh no, Beth was in that one, but Jerry wasn't in Wet Hot American Summer. So anyway, that's how I'd rank them. And then I want to go over and tell you guys this, because I just told you throughout the whole review, I shared with you the ratings of each episode, but there's a show called Solar Opposites that had a terrible 4th season because Justin Roiland was out of the show. And because of that, I am going to share with you the review, or the ratings on season 4, because the voice was terrible. I never watched it. I watched clips of it, but I didn't finish it. I didn't watch the whole season. So, episode 1 of season 4 of Solar Opposites with the new actor replacing Justin Roiland is a 55%. Then after episode 1, episode 2 to episode 11, all of the episodes are at a 10%. That's how bad it is. Rick and Morty isn't that bad because the voices are fine, the writing is fine. Now this is all subjective. You can complain all you want, but I don't want to listen to you complain. I just want to know, you don't like the season? That's cool, man. Subjective. But I'm going to tell you what I like, because it sounds the same. It feels the same. There's episodes I'm going to dislike, but I'm not going to say, oh, this episode isn't my favorite, so therefore the entire series sucks. No, that's not what it is. That doesn't mean it. That doesn't mean it sucks. Just means, okay, they had an off episode. But that doesn't mean it's the end of the series. Now, you might think that you watched episode 1 of season 7 and you might think it's terrible. That's fine. You don't have to watch the rest. Don't hate watch a show. That's all I'm going to tell you. So, with that said, my review, my rating of this season is a 7 out of 10. It's a 7 out of 10. I've been doing that recently, a 7 out of 10, but it's not a 10 out of 10. I give it a scratch that. I give it an 8.5. I'm not going to diss on my favorite show. I'm going to give it an 8.5. That's how good I feel about it. It's an 8.5. It makes me excited for the future of Rick and Morty. Let me know. I hope this review wasn't too long. Don't forget to leave a like down below in the comment section. What does that mean? Don't forget to leave a like down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel Lego Dude 11. Don't forget to leave a subscribe to the channel, as I just said. Don't forget to follow me over at Boba Fett Jedi Master on Instagram. Links down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me. Stay tuned for more reviews. This is my last review, and then I got my Christmas Doctor Who special review coming, and then we got What If and Echo coming next. More Marvel stuff. Very excited. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and follow me. And peace among worlds, everyone. Whoa! Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow me. Don't forget to keep calm, play Lego, watch stuff. Peace out, everyone. Bye.